it's frustrating, but it's also enlightening at the same time, where you have conversations with older folks that clearly have more experience just because they've been on the earth longer than you have, right? They've seen many more moons, many more suns, but that doesn't mean that they're the expert on everything life. And to try to get them to open up to think, and it's just not, my parents, it's not just my aunts and uncles, it's older folks that I come across with and cross paths every single day. Just because, it's no disrespect. You never disrespect any of the elders, but some folks take it a different way when you challenge their thought process, challenge their way of thinking.
This is the Stxhes Podcast. Thank you so much for coming in. We've got Brandon, Philip, Gene, Dwayne, and myself, Donnie. Thanks for tuning in. You're like, I can't take this shit no more. I'm out. Okay. You was out for the weekend, right?
You just come out and give just 12 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 turnovers. We win the game. That's how it is.
I see folks, I'm like, oh man, that's old folk stuff. I'm like, damn, am I getting old? Like, he would watch stuff.
I'm damn near a gangster in real life, you know what I'm saying? But no.
So,
I mean, I work with aging adults, like on a day-to-day basis, and I'm walking in with 7 years of experience doing exactly what you called me to come and estimate. So going into those situations, like, my level of patience is very high because I know that it's overwhelming. It's, it's a stressful time and stuff, but I still run into a lot of people that have the answer that they're asking me. Like, you're asking me the question. I've seen this. I've sold almost 1,000 jobs. I've done all these different things. And I'm coming into the situation telling you this is how it's going to go. And you haven't done this same thing in 30 years, but they still already have the answer. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to give you my piece. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think it is. I'm not I can't predict the future, but I'm going to be pretty close to what it actually is because I've seen this a bunch of times. Change just does not come easy with that generation. It's just, this is the way that it was, when I was doing it, this is the way that it's always going to be. This is the best way to do it. But I'm a strong believer in evolution. Like, I'm not hating on the class that came before me, but I saw the mistakes. I saw the things that you did well, and I used that as the foundation moving forward. Like, you would assume anyone moving forward is going to be able to use the blueprint that you already had, and they're going to be able to do it at a younger age. Yeah, I just, in a small aspect of that, is like me as the younger brother, seeing my brother do it 2 years in advance. I get a 2-year head start on what he was already doing. He showed me it was possible, therefore I'm going to also do it. But I also want to take it to the next level. And then, I got a son now. I'm fully expecting him to be smarter than me. If he's not smarter than me, if he's not doing the things that I was doing at an earlier age, I'm not doing my job at that point. Like, I'm supposed to be the person that's the trailblazer, and I'm supposed to be the one that's tripping over these landmines. And I can put down a marker there to let you know that that's there, so you don't have to hit it. But, I don't know if it's a pride thing or whatever it is, but it's, that barrier to have conversations, even like with our dad, and I can see when it's about to go left. I can feel it out. I'm like, all right, well, we need to just either change the subject or we need to dead this conversation or whatever. I know you well enough to know you're not going to bend on this. You're not going to change your opinion. And I'm not here to try and change your opinion in this 2 hours that I'm hanging out with you. So let's keep it cordial. Let's keep it moving. And, I've worked too hard to build up this relationship after all these years and stuff. So I'm not going to try and go against it now, but we still butt heads. Still, I got my own space. You guys your own space. I can go home. You can go home, and we'll pick it up next time. That's it just has to be what it is.
Yeah, and then I just want to touch on, there was a tweet that I saw the other day where it says, everything you learned late, teach your children early. So we're learning from our experiences, and we want to pass that torch. But yeah, we want to have igniter fluid on that torch so that it burns a little brighter than what we had. It's tough, and my issue is that I'm stubborn, right? So if I know that I'm right or I'm a firm believer in what I believe in, I'm not going to stop. And that's, the competitiveness in me, we call it whatever you want, but it takes a lot to understand, like, okay, and you're a bigger man than me. If you bump heads, no, it's like the Rams going at each other, like who's gonna give up? And I gotta do better, because reflecting back on times that I disagree with somebody, at the end of the day, is it worth it? Like, am I I want to. It's not my duty to impose my opinion, but it's I guess a request or something that I feel that is necessary, that folks can at least hear you out. They don't have to agree with you. You can agree to disagree on everything, but just to be open-minded enough to have the clarity to see it from somebody else's point of view. There's a lot of things I don't agree with. I don't agree with a lot of things with Jackie. We butt heads, but at the end of the day, so I need to meditate more. I got to, do the gratitude journal a little more too, and just understand that it's not about wins and losses. It's how do you get better? How do you strive to improve for the next match, next game, next conflict, whatever it may be, next hurdle in life? Because that's what it's all about. It's how do you learn from your experiences so that you can use that skill set down the road. But boy, oh boy, yeah, and it kind of it was just a recent conversation. So my father and I, we butt heads a lot. He's the youngest of 6. He's not going to agree with anybody. That's just how it is. But because the son, automatically expected to follow suit in any direction that he says goes. But that's not how I was brought up. So that's what I was so confused on. That's what I was trying to drill down on during our most recent conversation, because I need to take this knowledge and this information to help develop Cam and Amaya. So, and that's the key. I don't know if there is an answer, and this is feedback we can get from whoever may listen to this, or we can have a forum with our uncles and aunts, and see how can we fix that thought process. The grandma and granddad, they're not here, right? So we can't go to them, but I guarantee, I think they would say to have more of an independent thought process.
But my question to you is does it have to be acknowledged?
Does what have to be acknowledged?
The passing of the knowledge, or the fact that you had listened, or does there have to be some indication that you are following suit with what they taught you for it to be appreciated, for them
from their end?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think most of us would agree, if not all of us would say, that most of what we've learned was through watching or seeing the aftermath of a decision that our parents, our neighbors, our friends who are, have made, versus things that they've tried to preach to us about. Yeah. Because I'm sure there's some things that we've accepted about a situation or whatever when we're being preached to, or in the moment when they see us really screwing up and they're just trying to talk to us and put us on the right path. But I think for the most part, even the animals in the wild, most of what we've learned has been through observation. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was the same with you and your dad. You've witnessed so many things, so many situations with your dad, regardless of your relationship. But because he's been so open and honest with you and testifying to things that he's done, you've learned way more from his mistakes and his miscues or whatnot than he would ever even imagine. And right. I think if he reflected, he would probably realize the same thing about his relationship with his parents. He didn't want a lot of the things that he had witnessed growing up as a kid to happen within his household, with his own kids and his own wife and all that kind of stuff. There are things that he naturally was just I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. And
wouldn't admit it though.
That's my point. Maybe he needs time to reflect on those things and really have someone, not necessarily play devil's advocate, but therapy-wise, be well, this situation here where you left in the car as a kid while your parents went out partying, were having a good time for hours on end,
Imagine if we did that today. Like, it would.
Are you
It's gone.
serious?
But
You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
that's
can you
what
imagine
happened. That's the reality. Yeah.
That's reality. That really happened on more than one occasion. And even if they can't speak to that and say, that was one of the most traumatic situations I've had, and it kept reoccurring throughout my childhood. And I would never do that to my kids. Like, if they never said that to their wife, like, I'll never leave the kids in the car for the grocery store or anything else. But they just, all their reactions were always, no, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, you're coming with me. No matter where we're going, I'm going in the store, whatever I need to do, you're coming with me. And he couldn't even speak to that. But that situation changed them. I don't leave my kids in the car.
Nope.
Never. If I'm running in the store to get a soda or whatever, they're coming with me. That's the last thing I want, for them to get into it and have an argument on the small scale, but on the bigger scale, them being stolen or the car overheating or whatever the case may be. Anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it comes to them acknowledging like, I get the stubbornness, because that's me too, the competitiveness, the stubbornness and everything. And it's extremely frustrating when our dads came up in the same household and I don't know if your dad ever says sorry or anything like that, or acknowledges things that he's done wrong, but it just, the conversation just ends, like, or it just, I'll talk to you in a week or whatever it is. Like, it never gets to the point where it's like, you know what, actually, I think you were right about that. I think I should look at things differently. I should. And it's funny because when it comes to like social media, like I'll see people on Facebook making just ridiculous statements. And it takes everything in me to not jump on there and be like, nah, this is completely wrong. But I'm always able to say it's really not worth my time. Like, if you think something that ridiculous, it's not my job to try and educate you. There's way too many avenues for you to find the correct information. You're choosing to be ignorant to it, or you're choosing to be in denial of it or whatever. But when it comes to Pops, for some reason, you can go back and forth for hours. And it's never going to be satisfying, because I still don't believe you're hearing what I'm saying. I still think you're going to go back and do this exact same thing.
And they thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't hear them, but yes, we do, loud and clear. Like,
yeah.
No,
like I can't communicate. I told my brother this weekend, well, yesterday actually, I told him, I'm like, my biggest pet peeve is having to repeat myself over and over again. And even if it's in a different form, I'm going to come back in this exact same conversation and give you a different example of why this is this way, or why I'm doing it this way. And getting into it over, like, it's like, I get what your mentality is, even when it comes to work. Like, the one thing my dad will never be late to is work. He will always be a half an hour early and a half an hour staying after when everybody else is gone. But if you have a cookout, or you got or you got to go to church, and I'm like, I get like, I'm proud of you. You're a great employee, but it's like the significance of you just blowing stuff up. Like, I don't even get the mentality that, like, you knew weeks ago about this thing, and on the day of, it's 4 o'clock, we're supposed to be there at 1 o'clock, and you're still getting ready. Like, and there's no acknowledgement of it or anything. It's almost like now it's just frustration because you're getting on me for being this late. Like, what else do I need to say in this situation? And then it happens every single time. So I can't keep saying it over and over again, because now it's just going to escalate extremely quickly, because I hate repeating myself in these situations. But that's just who he is. Like, I don't like the mentality that you have to just accept people for what they are. Like, if I have to deal with you on a day-to-day basis, like it takes a certain, to me, it's just, it comes off as disrespectful at that point. Like, if you know how a person is, you know their triggers, and you're still going to continuously do the same thing just because you don't feel like changing it, that's a problem for me. Now it's like, I am a grown man right now. Now I'm just talking to another grown man. Now the whole respect thing, like, it goes out the window because I feel disrespected. And I'm an extremely petty person when it comes to that. Like if I feel disrespected, you're gonna feel every piece of this. You like I will hold no bar. Like I'm going to make sure this conversation never happens again. And when it comes to those conversations with my dad, that it ends up resulting. Now it's been a month since we've had a conversation because me and you both know why we haven't talked. And I'm gonna hold tight in it. But I know the next time I talk to you, you're not even going to address it. And it's like, I'm not built that way, man. Like, because then it's like, it's going to end up coming up because he left something in the microwave too long. Or he drops it, then all of a sudden it turns into a huge argument. No one knows where it came from. Nah, you know exactly what this is. You're trying to avoid it for some reason. And I don't handle things that way because if I did something wrong, I'm going to hold myself accountable to it. I'm going to make sure that other person understands that I recognize that I did this wrong. Let's do something different. It's a different generation.
And that was the question. Like, how do we, we're just starting with the nucleus here with our family, but like I said, I know it's not just hitting us at home, but it's it's our peers too. I think we're on the verge of that, allowing that to happen. Like our the generation before us, they're tech savvy when it comes to smartphones now and things like that. So they have that exposure. And I think that's what it is that access to information. Why are they so free thinking now? There's a joke now, like, oh, why are these kids running around with hoodies and sweatpants on when it's 95 degrees outside? Like, let them be who they are. Like, they have access to the same weather that we have. They just chose to go a different route. Like, it doesn't matter. Is it affecting you? No. But I mean, it's an ongoing conversation. It'll never end. But the key for us, is to make sure that our children are encouraged to do not necessarily as they please, but have that full support without backlash. And it's not out of disrespect. It's not, it's just challenging the way their thinking process. But always respect your elders, make sure that they're taken care of. But I can listen to you, but if I choose not to follow suit, that doesn't mean I'm disrespecting you. I just choose to do what I want with that information. So
I think that's it right there. I think that's where the conversation does end. I think without telling them to go pound sand, without telling them, like, I don't have time to listen to you anymore, and you going your route and you showing them your intentions, you showing them you follow through with whatever plans or strategies that you come up with for your life, and you survive and you thrive. I think that's how the conversation ends, because then it's proof. Or you go fail. You disobey what they told you to do, and then you rebound, and then you try another way, even if it's still not the way that they told you to do it. I think that's what they're looking for. Like, at the end of the day, when my kids become of age to start becoming adults, when it's 18 or whatever it is, and they go to college or they move out or whatever, I'm always going to be worried about them. I'm always going to be concerned about that. Because that's the phase that I'm getting into now. They're going out to the world more often without us. They're going to friends' houses. They're going to sporting events. They're doing all these different things, and they're getting a little bit of independence year after year. It's gonna be a little bit of conflict, because I'm always gonna be questioning what they're doing, like, naturally, just to remind them more than anything else of the teachings that they've been given. Are you paying attention? Are you watching me cross the street? Are you avoiding talking to strangers unless mommy and daddy acknowledge them before? Whatever the case may be, whatever lesson that I want to touch base with them on. But me seeing them becoming adults and handling their business appropriately or whatnot is how I come at ease. It's how I stop having conversations with them over things. I'll stop bringing up putting a napkin in your lap, because I've seen them do it. Mm-hmm. I'll stop bringing up, did you come home and start on your homework or whatnot, because I see them do it. I don't think anything that you can say is going to make him change his mind, besides seeing you implement a plan and you following through with it, and whether it's successful or not, it is what it is. But I think that's what it's about. They want to see you do it. and live your life the best of your abilities. Because then they can go home to the Father at ease. No parent wants to think that they've failed and their child is gonna be sad and pitiful when they're gone and not be able to survive when they're gone. That is terrifying. Terrifying. The last thing I would want to think is when I'm gone, my kid can't survive without me. I have absolutely failed that. That's the only thing I can equate it to. They may not vocalize it, but I think that's the bigger issue. They want to make sure that they did right by you and making sure that you're able to survive and thrive.
And that's the perfect way to end this session, Don, because I think it's about to close out.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to premium.
Probably got about 10 seconds. Now you're gonna close this out.
Feels good to say it. This has been a Stxhes Podcast. What?
Back, baby.
Philip, Dwayne, myself, Donnie. Thank you for tuning back in. We have so much more to cover. We look forward to getting back on this journey with you. Good night. Love you.
Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Later.